honestly, discerning religious life is probably one of the best things I could have done for myself, because then I knew without a shadow of a doubt that I was called to marriage. Bethany, I'm called to be a priest. Goodbye forever. Chad, come back. Come back to me, Chad. That is right. You guys read the title correctly. At one point, I thought I was called to be a nun. Obviously, that worked out very differently. But maybe you guys are discerning religious life, or maybe you guys were where I was and you guys thought you were called to religious life. Maybe you are called to be a priest or a nun and you just don't know what to do about that. So while I share my story about how I found out religious life was definitely not for me, I'm also going to be telling you guys about how you guys can discern religious life properly so you guys can figure out whether or not religious life is or is not for you. When I was but a wee lass in the suburbs of Chicago, I was always surrounded by nuns and sisters, okay? Whether it was a soup kitchen or Little Flowers and Blue Nights or going to mass at one of their monasteries that was out in the country somewhere. And by out in the country, I literally just mean like suburbia. So technically I did grow up knowing what a sister and a nun were, though I did not have the greatest grasp on that as a 6-year-old because I genuinely just thought that they were female priests, and that is a whole other story for another time. But I was familiar with nuns and I had interacted with them on multiple occasions as a child, so I was like, they're cool. But not once did it ever cross my mind as a child that maybe I'd be called to the nunnery or becoming a religious. And then flash forward a few crazy years and I left Catholicism for 8 years. And then after that 8 years, I came back with a crazy reversion story. You guys already know about that. And then a few months later, after that, I built this cozy little community online, which is now turned into the apostolate it is today, the religious hippie. I'll be completely honest with you guys. Okay, when I reverted, I had no idea what vocations were. I was just like, you either just get married or you just become like something else. I thought vocations were kind of like your job in a way. Oh, your vocation is to become a CEO in Dave and Buster. I don't know. And then one day I just started kind of researching different religious orders, you know, like Dominicans, Franciscans. Obviously the Franciscans were like my favorite. I mean, being barefoot all the time, say less. But then one day while I was going through my entire like, oh, this order is kind of cool, it kind of just hit me like, what if God is calling me to be a religious sister? And I'm gonna be honest, it actually caused a lot more panic in me than I had originally expected it to. I need to tell you guys about my favorite Catholic coffee brand, Gloria Patri. I actually met the owner when I was in Tennessee at a conference, and they are amazing because it makes me feel like I have more of a connection to the product they're trying to sell. And when I met him, and he's a devout Catholic, and I learned the story about Gloria Patri, I knew I had to tell you guys about it and try it for myself. So we tried it and we fell in love with it. For those who don't know, my husband is a coffee snob and I am a coffee connoisseur. We are very picky about the coffee that we drink, but I am confident that you guys will love Gloria Patri as much as my husband and I do. So with that being said, go to gloriapatri.com and get 10% off your purchase by using my code hippie10. I want you guys to enjoy your coffee just as much as I enjoy mine. So check them out and tell me what you think. Okay, back to the video. I was absolutely horrified that that is maybe something that God wanted me to do, become a religious. I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds so horrifying, so scary. I do not want to do that. But I also knew that what was important was obedience to God, and he knew best and he willed my good. And so I would just have to go along with it if that is what God wanted me to do. But I decided, like, why do it right now? Right? Like, I'm young. I got time. I don't need to discern it like right now, right? So I put it off. I stopped looking into religious orders. I basically continued on to my life. I dated some guys and I had a job, and I basically just forgot about the entire religious vocation thing until 2021. All right, I've mentioned it a few times at this point, and I don't think there's any reason as to why I need to mention it again, but it is a pivotal moment in my life as to why I need to mention it, because otherwise it wouldn't make sense as to why I decided to discern religious life after this. I had a very traumatic experience dating a guy back in 2021. All you guys need to know that he was extremely abusive. Physically, mentally, emotionally. It was just absolutely horrible. I lost any and all confidence in myself, from the constant gaslighting to the controlling behaviors. And keep in mind, this only was 3 months, okay? I ended it after 3 months because I was like, I literally cannot survive. Like, this is actually going to kill me. But like, after those 3 months, I was a shell of a person. I had no idea who I was anymore. I had absolutely no confidence, and life started feeling a lot more like a burden than the joy-filled life that I had felt previous to that relationship. And that was the first of my many identity crises. I'll be honest with you guys, I lost all hope in Catholic men, because whenever I interacted with Catholic men, they would either talk at me about the Summa Theologiae, which I was like, just call me pretty. Just say that I'm pretty. I don't want you to preach to me about theology. Just tell me I'm pretty. A lot of Catholic men honestly just sort of bully women. They kind of just treat them like one of the guys. But there comes a point where it's just like women don't like being teased. Women don't really like to be bullied or treated like one of the guys. Some pick-me's do, but not the good quality women that you actually are going to want to marry one day. Basically, whenever I hung out with most Catholic men, I never felt protected. I never felt like they were actually respectful of me and my space. It's kind of like they just adopted me into their guy group, and then I just became the punching bag. And this is actually something that my girlfriends who are in the dating scene right now tell me that they are still facing till this day. So anyways, while I was having this crisis, I was scrolling around on social media and I don't know if it was an ad or a post, but there was like this come and see retreat that was happening with some Dominican sisters where I lived at the time. And that's when I remembered the whole thing about discerning religious life. I figured if there was ever a better time to discern religious life, it was like right now when I was single and I had no attachments to anybody on the outside. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you guys. I was a little desperate trying to figure out where I was supposed to be. I felt like I was grasping at straws. Like, am I actually called to marriage? Am I called to religious life? I don't know anymore. Who am I? I want to make something very clear here though. I wasn't running away from the dating world. I wasn't running away from like boyfriends or anything like that. That whole like, oh, the boy I like doesn't like me back, so I'm gonna join the nunnery. That is total BS. Don't do that. Stop doing that. Give it some time. Stop being so dramatic. Trust me. It's gonna be okay. But you shouldn't be going to a nunnery because Chad broke up with you for the third time. I genuinely wanted to discern religious life and just discover once and for all if marriage was my vocation and if that is something I needed to continue pursuing or if dating is all for naught because I'm actually supposed to be a sister or a nun. So I ended up signing up for the come and see retreat, and I think that was around the end of October of 2021. So I basically just packed a bag and decided to go stay with them for an entire weekend. And it was so nice because I met so many other girls there who were discerning religious life who were just the sweetest people I had ever met. I really, really loved getting to know them and just listening to their discernment processes and why they thought they were called to religious life. But I felt really bad because I also couldn't connect with them on the same level that they were able to connect with each other. I was more Bella Swanning it in the corner with a book. Okay, not really. I mean, I was involved, but I just didn't talk a whole lot. I was more or less an observer. I just had a really hard time emotionally connecting with them, and while I loved to be around them and to see their joy, I had a hard time kind of understanding it. But I mean, I still tried to participate in the games and the conversations and everything like that. I was just a little bit more reserved, and you know what, for better or for worse, that's how things happened. But I think a lot of people, when they're discerning religious life or any vocation for that matter, they expect there to be like this giant light bulb or lightning moment where they're just like, oh yes, this is exactly what I'm supposed to do. And then they have complete certainty in their vocation, no doubt whatsoever. They just pursue it full on and they have absolutely no regrets, okay? And you know what? I'll be honest. Okay, that does happen to some people. To some people, they're just like, boom, I automatically know I'm meant to be a wife. Boom, I automatically know I'm meant to be a priest, whatever it's supposed to be. But for a majority of us, I genuinely don't think that that's how it happens. But you could also be kind of like in the middle, like me, where as I was basically discerning, I really loved the sisters. I had so much respect and admiration for what they were doing and how they were doing it. And it was so beautiful to see their vocations lived out in their lives. And I thought that was beautiful. But when I saw them do it, there were two words that popped into my head. And these are two keywords that you're going to want to remember for a little bit later. Impossible vocation. To me, religious life seemed like the impossible vocation. Everything that they did, when I watched them do it, they did it with such great joy. But when I did the exact same things, I felt really depressed and very lost and very confused. And there was an adoration chapel that was actually just down the hall from where I was staying in the monastery. And so I would go down there and I would just like kneel and be like, Jesus, I don't know what you want from me. Like, what am I supposed to do? I thought this is what you wanted of me, but now I feel like you don't want me to do this at all. Where do I belong? And that entire weekend, I was so miserable, not just because of my mental health struggles or because I was still in survival mode, but because I was still horrified that this might be something God wanted me to do and that I would just have to be a big girl, put on my big girl pants and just suck it up and do it. So I was freaking out and just writing writing in my journal, you know, about how this felt like the impossible vocation and I didn't know what I was supposed to do or where I was supposed to go from here. And then one night, Sister Cherubelle, she called us all downstairs to have a little group meeting, if you will, because I think it was the second day we were all together or something like that. So we all headed downstairs, and keep in mind, nobody knew that I was having these feelings. So we all sat in a circle around Sister Cherubelle. Well, not around, she was in the circle. We weren't like surrounding her like it was some weird cult thing. But she wanted to talk to us about discerning our vocation because she wanted to make sure we were doing it properly. And when she said this, my ears instantly perked up because it was exactly what I had been lamenting about for days. But really quick, guys, before we get further into the video, I'd like to first tell you guys about my Patreon. If you guys would like to support this apostolate, please consider becoming a behind-the-scenes member over on Patreon. YouTube is making it increasingly hard for people like me to be able to monetize content, and unfortunately, monetizing is really the only way that I'm able to continue doing this apostolate. So every little bit truly does help, and you can get some perks if you sign up for Patreon. You'll get full-length videos that are ad-free and censor-free, along with a monthly Zoom call and a monthly Q&A, on top of like a bunch of other perks too, so definitely go check those out. But that's a great way to help support this apostolate as I continue doing this work. I really could not do it without you guys. And if you guys don't want to do a reoccurring payment, totally understand. You guys can make a one-time donation on my website at thereligioushippie.com. And if you can't support this apostolate financially, I totally understand. Money is tight. Please like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you know when I upload videos. Okay, now let's get on with the tea. Sister Cherubelle said, and I quote, "If this vocation feels like the impossible vocation, it is probably not for you." So she went on to explain that to her, the impossible vocation was actually marriage. And keep in mind that these were the exact words that were floating through my brain earlier that week, okay? And the fact that she said those exact two words that I had been struggling with made it pretty clear that it was a sign from God that this was not meant to be my vocation. And you know what? Once I realized he was not calling me to religious life, I felt peace. And I'm not talking about like, oh, relief. I'm talking like spiritual peace that only comes from God. You guys, it takes a very special person to be a religious person. To be either a priest or be a nun, it doesn't matter. It takes a very special kind of person. And I truly admire those who are called to be a nun or a priest because it really does take so much discernment and sacrifice, but obviously in the most beautiful way. Okay, but put the brakes on for a moment because here's an issue when I tell people this story. People will be like, oh, whoo, cool. Okay, you know what? I haven't even discerned religious life, but it seems like the impossible vocation for me personally, so not even gonna bother. Basically, people feel like if religious life is scary or something, and that just gives them a reason to not discern it at all. Wrong. Even if you feel called to marriage, it really does not hurt to do a retreat with a religious order that interests you. If you are single, if you are going to discern religious life, you need to do it while you are single. Okay, no exceptions. You cannot properly discern if you are dating someone while also trying to court God, okay? That is not how this works. Plus, that is completely unfair to the person you're dating. To lead them on or have them wait around while you discern a completely different vocation that does not involve them. Like, how messed up is that? No, Bethany, I'm just going for a weekend. I'm not actually discerning the priesthood. I just want to try it out. Oh. Okay. Well, I'll wait for you.
2 days later.
Bethany, I'm called to be a priest. Goodbye forever. Chad, come back. Come back to me, Chad. Okay, it's a mess. Don't do it. So if you are single, you have to discern religious life at least 3 times. It doesn't have to be anywhere super far, and it doesn't have to be anywhere that costs a ton of money to get to. But you really should be putting in the effort and taking seriously your discernment process to figure out where God wants you to be. So how do we do that? Well, I'm not perfect, but I have some ideas. Okay, number 1, if you're discerning religious life, be single. Got that one? That's like the basics. That's good. That's good. The next thing you want to do is research at least 3 religious orders that interest you. These are orders that should really align with your charisms, like your personality, things that you like, and just in general, like your desires and stuff like that. And then you can look on their website and see if they have a come and see retreat. Now, some places do, some places don't, but most of the times they do allow people to come and stay with them for a certain amount of time to discern whether or not that order is right for them or religious life in general is right for them. But you may have to actually call the office this and be like, hey, I want to like come in and stay with you guys for a couple days. They might have like a fee of like $20 or something. I don't know. Some places do have that. But yeah, you know what? Go check it out and stay with them for a couple days, maybe a week, maybe a weekend, and start discerning if religious life is for you or not. And remember that just like the first date, this is not a commitment to that order or to religious life. This is just to figure out whether or not this is your vocation. So don't feel like you're trapped or like you have to stay in that order or anything if it doesn't suit you or if you find out that vocation's not for you. So once you've found the order that you want to discern with and you've arrived, the number one thing you need to do is prayer. Okay, pray, pray, pray. Turn off your phone, really immerse yourself in the order's charisms and their everyday tasks. Like really try and get in and pretend like you are a part of their order. What would everyday life be like? And don't forget to ask plenty of questions. And all of these places should have an adoration chapel, so definitely just take advantage of that personal prayer time with Jesus. And a lot of people have asked me what they should specifically be praying, but I cannot tell you that specifically because I don't want it to be robotic, and I don't want you guys to start thinking that if you say these exact prayers or these exact words that God's going to give you this exact outcome. One thing I will tell you to do is to pray the litany of trust and the surrender novena every single day. And you know what? Ask God to give you the graces to be able to do the things that He wills for you to do in your everyday life, because we really do need His grace in order to help us. And there should be a priest or somebody who's guiding you kind of through the discernment process, or at least keeping tabs on you, showing you around, doing that type of thing. So again, do not be afraid to ask questions or to ask for advice. That is literally what they're there for, and it will help you speed up the discernment process so much faster. Now, some people might know whether or not they're called to religious life after like a weekend, like I did. Other people might know after a day. Other people might feel more confused when they leave discerning religious life. If you are somebody who feels way more confused coming out than you did going in, I would highly suggest that you need to continue discerning religious life at a minimum of 3 times, but I say 5 times is usually like the sweet spot for most people. I mean, maybe that religious order just wasn't a right fit for you, but most people overthink the discernment process and get into their heads about it. Like, what if that was Satan trying to keep me from my vocation? Or what if the fear I feel is a trick from the devil keeping me from religious life? Maybe I don't want to do hard things. The lies and reasons can go on and on and on. So please talk to your priest if this is you, or if you're a scrupulous soul. You will need assistance and somebody who can tell you to not overthink these things. Otherwise, you're going to constantly keep going in circles and you're never going to be sure of a decision, and you just need somebody there to basically like snap you out of it. But honestly, discerning religious life is probably one of the best things I could have done for myself, because then I knew without a shadow of a doubt that I was called to marriage. Like, I had absolutely no doubts. I never questioned it. I was like, I am 100% called to marriage. It just gave me confidence that God did have somebody in mind for me, whether or not I had met them yet. And at that point in my life, I was just like, I don't know how I'm called to marriage with all these guys around me, because none of these guys are marriage material. But then in the summer of 2022, I met my now husband. And I think I just realized that in those times, I really needed time to grow and become a woman worth marrying, because I still had a lot of feminist-like tendencies and I had a lot of immaturity that I needed to grow out of, but I wouldn't have had the same clarity. And I think part of me would have always wondered, like, what if? And having that clarity just really gave me the necessary confidence to continue forward in the dating world, because let's be honest, it was pretty rough when I was in it, but oh my goodness, I feel for you guys so hard. Like, it's rough out there. But trust me, if marriage is your vocation, God will not let you down. But if you're single right now, seriously discern religious life. And I've had some people tell me that discerning religious life felt like a waste of time to them because, oh, while I was spending all this time in the monastery, or I could have been out there dating and like finding my wife, and I could have gotten married earlier. What you don't realize is that when you are discerning religious life, you are becoming a man or woman worthy of your spouse. Those hours of praying increase graces. Those silent moments you kept in your heart, that is something meaningful that you can share with your spouse one day. And the patience that you learn through the discernment process, absolutely priceless, okay? It is not a waste of time. If anything, it makes you a better person and therefore a better spouse. Courting God is never a waste of time. And while he is a part of marriage, It Takes Three to Get Married, that is a great book by Fulton Sheen, by the way. Discerning religious life is really your time to shine spiritually, to work out any vices you have, and to dedicate your life to God without distraction. So take advantage of it. I want to know how you guys discovered your vocation in the comments below, or maybe you're still still discerning your vocation, and I would love to know what you're discerning, whether it's marriage, religious life, or consecrated single life. And if it is religious life, I'd love to know what order you are discerning. But yeah, comment that down below so we can give you a little bit of support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with somebody who needs it, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye! I would like to thank my Jude crew over on Patreon for making this video happen, specifically Jude Crew Plus. And I would love to thank Jude Crew Bold, Ricardo Aguilera, Roger Davis, Rubes Goodbrain Coffee, Darren, Jay Setti, Veronica Beck, Dan Nunn, Sabrina, James Bell, Father Carr, George Gregory, Oliver Waite, Andrew Plowski, Alex R., James, and Jude Crew Epic, Franz Antonio Von Tunder, Bill Gall, Connor, Brian Cootie, Gerald de Guzman, Michael, Paul Donovan, Michael Martin, Kevin Ashbrook, and Jason Sager. Thank you guys so much. I really could not do this work without your guys' help, so I really do appreciate each and every one of you. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Bye!